Welcome to Prison Wife Diaries. This is a brand new channel where I will discuss what it's like to be married to a man who's incarcerated, as well as other topics related to criminal justice. Now, there have been a lot of times recently where I have been scrolling through social media and seeing a lot of really hurtful, really negative comments going towards people who are incarcerated. And so I just want to give some actual facts about what this is like, as well as, to dispel some of the myths and rumors that you might have been used to hearing. And to give you a glimpse into what it's like to be married to a man who's incarcerated. So before I get started here, I do want to give a brief disclaimer. What you're expecting here is to see something like 90 Days In or Love After Lockup. I hate to break it to you, my life is not that exciting. You're going to be sadly disappointed. These kind of shows are heavily scripted and over dramatized, and they're really not an accurate depiction of real life. So with all that being said, I just really want to introduce you to myself and my husband and talk a little bit about how we met. So my name is Allie and my husband's name is Jeremy. We are both 38 years old and we live in the Midwest. My husband is currently incarcerated in a medium security correctional facility about an hour and a half from my home. We have known each other for about 3 years, and we got married on July 18th of 2020. So the story of how we actually met is a pretty interesting one. Back in 2016, I left a very verbally and mentally abusive marriage. And I took, a year or so off from thinking of dating just to recover, and to find myself after all I was through. When I felt ready, I put my profile up on a dating app. And over the course of time, I was introduced to a gentleman that I will call Kate. Now, one thing I do want to explain about the correctional facilities in our state is that the inmates that are incarcerated there do not have free access to the internet. So they do have to rely on a friend or a family member from the outside to communicate with the people they're connecting with. So I spent a few months getting to know Kay. I did come up to visit him in person. And, over the course of 3 or 4 months, I ended up finding out that he was pretty deceptive and not at all the person that he portrayed himself to be. So that really didn't go anywhere, but he did introduce me to a friend of his that I will call Jay. So Jay and I eventually did date for several months. And during the course of that, he and Jeremy were cellmates. And he asked me at one point if I would be willing to write to Jeremy because he doesn't have the support of anyone else on the outside. Being the kind-hearted person that I am, I said, absolutely. I would be happy to write to Jeremy and just, be a friend. So Jeremy and I did, send a few letters back and forth, and we did have, the beginnings of a friendship. Well, a little bit after that, my relationship with Jay ended very suddenly. And at the same time that the two of them went into solitary confinement. I had completely blindsided, so I came up to see Jeremy and talk to him. And just to see if he had any idea why that, relationship had ended the way it did, or if he knew it was coming. And he said no, he had no idea. So because I knew he didn't have anybody else, and because the whole breakup was not his fault, I continued to come up and visit him pretty much every week, just to be there for him, get to know each other a little better, and it really wasn't long before we were officially a couple. And about 6 weeks after that, he asked me to marry him. Now, of course, I thought he was nuts, because we really didn't know each other that long, and I really had no intention of getting remarried after the abusive situation that I was through. But through his kind, sweet nature and his persistence, eventually he did wear me down. And he asked me, probably 3 or 4 times before I actually said yes, because this was a big commitment, especially getting married to somebody in his situation. So one of the things that had first attracted me to him as I was getting to know him was these big, beautiful baby blue eyes. And he is just such a kind, sweet, patient, and loving person. Now, I know you're thinking, why on earth would you consider getting involved with or marrying somebody in prison? To be honest, if you had asked me 5 years ago, I would not have ever anticipated that my life would be here where it is. I had no intention of ever getting involved with anybody in prison, and I had a lot of the same misconceptions that a lot of you may have. That everybody that's locked up is a horrible person. They're not redeemable. They aren't remorseful. And I'm finding that's not the case. So I don't want to have anybody out there think that I'm encouraging you to date or get involved with somebody in prison. This lifestyle is not for everybody, and if you do decide to look into it, you have to proceed with caution as you would in any other dating situation. In our state, there's a circuit court database where you can look up a person by name and find out what their charges are. Now, it's not a full detailed case file, but it's at least enough to give you an idea of why they're there, and that's a good place to start. Again, in any dating situation, you do have to be cautious. Should do a background check anyway. And, just really, use caution. So, my husband has always been upfront about me with why he's there and what he's done. And I've never found anything in his case to dispute what he's told me. So, this lifestyle is not for everybody. It's very emotionally exhausting at times, and it's expensive, and it really is a lot of responsibility. So with that all being said, I think this is a good place to end. Since I am new to being a YouTuber, I apologize for my nervousness, but what I would like you to do is to go ahead and click the like button over here, hit subscribe, and if you can think of any topics of interest that you would like me to discuss, or if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them down below in the comments. I know this should go without being said, but when you are leaving comments, please be respectful. If you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. So I do want to thank you again for watching, and I look forward to being with you again next week.